Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Thank you all for attending the Dunfermline Peace and Unity Vigil in remembrance of the 50 innocent lives lost. The wind isn't going to help me today. The reason for our vigil was to show that, like New Zealand, we stand united with other cities across Scotland today. Brothers and sisters, it was said by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that humanity is like one body, and when one part is hurt, the whole body hurts. And today, all over the world, we are hurting. All of us felt this pain. We were in shock, and many of us felt we had to do something to stand in solidarity with New Zealand and our Muslim communities. There were many factors which convinced many people that we needed to do this today. This was a catalyst to organise our Peace and Unity Vigil. I also would like to take this opportunity to introduce our speakers to you, the order of service, but before doing so, I also wanted to thank Councillor Ian Ferguson and his wife Jean, who unfortunately could not attend today. They were the first to reach out to me and the first to offer any help that they could. They also helped to organise the tree and donated the tree for the people of Dunfermline today. So I hope we do recognise their contribution as well today. And I thank them for their service and friendship. Our speakers today are Reverend Mary-Ann Rennie from the Abbey Church, Ajaz Mohammed from Dunfermline Central Mosque and the Muslim Council of Scotland, Shirley-Ann Somerville, MSP, Billy George, representing the people of Dunfermline and the Fire Station Creative, myself, representative of Tell Mama and the Fife Centre for Equalities. After hearing our speakers, we shall move over to the Tree of Peace for the ceremonial planting of the peace tree, followed by short prayers delivered by leaders from various faiths. This will then be followed by the call to Azan with a short prayer. That will then conclude the vigil service part, but I would welcome anyone that wants to remain a little bit longer, time for reflection, or just to meet and greet. The messages that I had received, the majority of people felt that they wanted to come together, they wanted to reach out to one another. The purpose of this is to remind us that we are one. We have far more in common than we do have differences. So I would welcome people to take the time at the end, talk to one another, hug if you want, but spend that time as you feel fit at the end. And as I said, thank you again very much for attending today. I'll be passing on to our speakers now.
Blessed are the peacemakers. These are not my words, but the words of Jesus standing on a hillside, looking at thousands of people of every age and gender, of people of different belief, colour, of different hopes and ideals. Words spoken over 2,000 years ago into a troubled world where the resident community of a nation felt threatened by the political force that held them hostage and by the transient community of travellers and refugees. Words that asked the crowd to cast their eyes around them and notice the similarities that brought them together. The longing to be valued and acknowledged, the longing to live in a world where peace reigned, and peace meant a safe place to live and an opportunity to learn more about your neighbour. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. standing on this hillside, surrounded by people we know and people we don't. We stand to reiterate our hope that we might grow in our understanding of each other, no matter our age, gender, colour, faith, or ideals. So often our fear of the world is caused by our own failure to invest that little bit of time to get to know and understand those whom we consider to be different from us. Actions like the shootings last Friday in New Zealand and the attack on a Birmingham mosque this week create fear for those who value a place of worship and prayer as the place that allows a spiritual presence to inform and direct life led in the wider community. While not every one of us here may know faith, I hope that our presence here today signifies our hope, our desire to build a community where those of faith are able to share our understandings of the world, and where we all might grow to be more tolerant of the diversity that each of us brings to this community of Dunfermline and beyond. May our voices be the voices that call for peace, our hands be the hands of welcome, our hopes be the breaking down of barriers, so that we create the community and world of peace of which we speak in the way in which we live our lives. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God.
It is an honour to be with you today, but sad that we have to come together under such sad circumstances as we do following the tragic events in Christchurch. But it is very important that we do show our solidarity and respect for those who have suffered so far from here, but also to recognise the impact that it has had on our brothers and sisters in the Muslim community very much closer to home. Acts of hate can never, must never, and will never be accepted or justified. We have to live in a world, in a society with kindness, with compassion, and above all else, hope. The hope that we will see the open and inclusive society that we all want to see. The hope that our children can live free from a fear of intolerance and abuse. And the hope that those who have suffered can rebuild. And it's also important that we have hope that we stand with our friends, with our neighbours and family to unite to say no to hatred. I am so proud that so many people from Dunfermline and the surrounding areas have came here together to stand together today to ensure that the voice of all of us go out so strongly that there is no room for hatred and intolerance in our town. And we join together with thousands of others across Scotland who are also coming together with exactly that same strong message that hope will prevail over hate. We must make clear, however, not just today, but every day, that we will stand up against prejudice, the smallest of prejudices that we see, because if we don't, then that allows the seeds to sow for further hate and division in our town and in our country. So I want to pay tribute to those who have organised today, but let us not just mark our respect today, but importantly leave here with a determination that we'll take that collective vision of hope and of solidarity with us from today, every day, as we live here and celebrate our diversity in our town, and proud of that diversity that we have. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd just like to say how pleased I am to see so many people turn out from our community today to remember the people who lost their lives in Christchurch a few days ago at the beginning of the week, and to also make sure that we send a message from here from Dunfermline to tell the people of Christchurch and New Zealand and across the world that we care about the tragic circumstances that they've had to endure during what has been a terrible time for them in the last few days. I think that the main message we need to send from Dunfermline is that not only are our thoughts with them, our prayers are with them, and our hearts are with them while they struggle with the terrible tragedy they're coping with at the moment. It may be that there's people here from New Zealand with us today, and there may be others who have relatives or friends there, and I hope that you will pass that message back to them to let them know that we do care, that we are with them, and we show tremendous solidarity with everything that they're going through at the moment. And that really is the message. It is about solidarity, standing by people in their hour of need. And I think the previous speakers have really emphasised that as well. And I think from a small town here on one side of the globe to another town on the other side of the planet, then that message must be strong and must be sincere, as I know it is. We all have recognised as we watched the scenes unfolding on our televisions the strength that the New Zealand Prime Minister has shown dealing with unbelievable levels of hurt and sadness during these recent times. But there are positives. We must stand together, and one of the things that has come through is the hope and the opportunity and the strength that we can show as a community and what we can do here in Dunfermline to make sure that our lives are not blighted by similar circumstances, because love and understanding will always overcome hatred and ignorance. So I hope that through the connections you have with your family, with your friends, with your neighbours, then we can pass that message on to make sure that we live in a much more peaceful world, much more understanding world, and perhaps a world where we don't have instances like this to deal with, and that we can actually go ahead and enjoy our lives as best we can without that hatred being part of it. Thank you very much.
I just want to sort of be here today representing the Muslim community from Dunfermline. We can't all come up and sort of say our words here, but I'd like to sort of say a few words from all the Muslim community in Dunfermline. And we want to first obviously thank you all for coming out today. I appreciate you coming out, and this sort of feel very humbled that you've all come out and sort of shown support for the sad events that happened in New Zealand last week. Unfortunately, I've been told maybe 51 people have now passed away, and their loss has been felt right across the world. And just as much as in Christchurch, we've felt it here in Dunfermline as well. I've had families in Dunfermline, Muslim families, showing concern about their children. We're worried about sort of obviously events that have happened in Birmingham as well, with mosques getting attacked. So we have tried to work with the police, and we thank the police for working with us to try and reassure the community that we will try and make sure the mosque is protected, that there is no attack, and we hope the community around us will also support us. And if they do see anybody that has that kind of fundamental views, that they'll come forward and work with the police and let them know. We all need to work together because we are one community. We may have different faiths, we have different paths, but the direction is always the same. It's a humanitarian cause that we're all trying to follow. We're all trying to be decent people. Muslims in Dunfermline, I've lived here 35 years, and in those 35 years, I've always felt very welcomed and have many friends and have many other sort of friends around Scotland as well, and we've never felt any hatred towards us. But there is a small cancer within community that does sadly exists on our side of the fence as well, with Muslims which have fundamental views. But as most people know, terrorism does not have any religion or any faith. It's an ideology of hate which we all have to reject. If we're going to move forward together, we need to sort of stand together and sort of try and tackle this sad events that are happening around the world, not just with the Muslims attack that's happened in Christchurch, but anywhere in the world. If somebody has that hateful ideology, we need to sort of reject it, and we need to all stand together and have a common stance together. I cannot sort of express all my thanks for all the messages of support that we've received, flowers being sent to the mosque, messages, cards, and it's just so sort of like comforting to know that the community has come forward and supported us in this time of difficulty for Muslims around the world. A lot of Muslims have shown a huge amount of respect for Jacinda Ardern, the way she's dealt with it in Christchurch in New Zealand, how she's shown many politicians. I mean, I'd like to thank obviously the politicians and stuff that have attended today, and hopefully we can take something from her in terms of the approach she's taken on how to deal with this. They've managed to change gun laws within a matter of like a week, which is, you hear constantly in America where there's attacks and nobody's bothered, and this is never going to change in the States. But it's shown that if you do have an intention to do something, that it can be done. I mean, luckily we don't have gun problems in UK, but I think the problem is that all it takes is one idiot to walk along and sort of do something stupid, and we're like an open target, we're a soft target when we're sitting there praying. And that's what happened in New Zealand. They were a soft target, and these people had nothing that they could do, and they were massacred. Sadly, I've seen the video, and hopefully you haven't seen it, but it was terrible. I was watching it was a very sad watch. I want to just once again thank you all from the bottom of our hearts, from the Muslim community, for coming out today and supporting us. And we hope we can all work together and try and end this sort of sad type of things that are happening around the world. Thank you.
Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. We're an absolute glorious day today, actually, in a beautiful town, and it's great to see so many of you turn out to support a great initiative. Thank you to the organisers for asking me to share a platform with them as my capacity as a Director of Fire Station Creative. Our organisation is an organisation that celebrates diversity through the arts and is very much about inclusivity. As someone who's lived his entire life in Dunfermline and the surrounding area, I couldn't be more proud of every one of you for turning up today. Myself, I'm not a religious person per se, but I've always defended everybody's right to practice their faith in peace as they see wish, and last week's events were just dreadful. My faith has always manifested itself in fellow human beings, and I do believe that most of us are inherently good, and we just want to live a quiet life and look out for our families, our friends, our communities. I truly believe it's in all our interests to make our community safe for ourselves and for our children. So let's all strive to make Dunfermline and West Fife an even better place to live for all of us. We can't be complacent though. Only last week there was Islamophobic literature stuck around the town centre on various establishments. It's incumbent on all of us to reject these extreme actions, regardless of our faith, colour or race. We need to reject these politics that target people purely on the grounds of race or religion. Our diversity can be our strength, but it does require a commitment. I truly believe that we should continue to teach our young people early on that in diversity there is beauty and opportunity. We can all learn from each other. I'd like to give thanks to Sid Akbar and his fellow worshippers at Dunfermline Central Mosque, not just for today, but for their continuing good work in reaching out to the wider community and condemning extremism, work that has quite rightly received national recognition recently. I'd just like to finish off by thanking once again for all turning up, and as one of my heroes, Robbie Burns, wrote, "A man's a man for all that." So enjoy the rest of your day, and in the words of his proud fifer, remember, we're all Jock Thompson's bairns.
Good day to everyone. I thank each and every one of you who have come and attended and stood with the community, with the Muslim community in this tragic time. There's many definitions what a terrorist is known as. No one's given a definite definition of it, but I would like to put forward the definition that's been given by the Oxford Dictionary. A person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in pursuit of political aims. So whether this person is left-wing, right-wing, whatever their ideology is, it is still terrorism. Whoever does these acts is still acting acts of terrorism. These acts have no religion whatsoever, as being mentioned. It has no place in Islam, it has no place in any religion. Wherever there is terrorism, Islam condemns it all. One thing has already been touched upon: neighbours. Islam is a religion which teaches us to be well with our neighbours. Our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said, "None of you is a true believer until what you love for your neighbor is what you love for yourself. In another teaching, he has mentioned that a Muslim cannot eat his full. He cannot eat wholeheartedly while his neighbor is starving. When such a religion teaches such love and compassion for a neighbor, regardless of race or religion, can this same religion preach hate and violence? I ask all to stand together. I urge everyone to stand against this hatred. And this hatred will only be overcome when we tell people that Islam is a religion of peace, love and compassion. All religions are. We are not here as a threat to anyone, as we are all aware in this community. We need to tell everyone that we are people of peace. I urge everyone to pass this message on to everyone else in the Dunfermline community and further wider, that we all must stand united against extremism and hatred and overcome this with peace and love. Thank you.
As a very proud Scottish Muslim from Dunfermline who loves his town, I see my community living in fear, worried for their future, their children and their safety. And it breaks my heart that hatred can cause so much division and pain. I see the lies peddled by the far right to demonise us, to foster that hatred and division. And all I ask is that we unite to say enough is enough. Prime Minister Jacinta Ardern has shown the world that words matter. Words are powerful. Words have meaning. Words have purpose. And words have ramifications. Words have power, and we must use our words wisely to foster peace and harmony, not hatred and division. We may be different skin colours or have different faiths, but we have far more in common as human beings, and we must remember this and remind others too. We are one. We reject division and shall always stand united. If the seed of hate is planted, do not water it. I would now ask you all to allow us a minute or two and then to follow the speakers up to the peace tree. Thank you. We're going to make our way towards the tree. If you could just all follow us up, please. Oh, it's a super delayed. I hope you can all hear me still. The idea behind the peace tree was that we had something living to celebrate the reason of why we wanted to do this today. Moving forward, this will be the peace tree of Dunfermline. And one by one, everyone will actually be basically putting the soil on, and that will end the planting of the tree. After that, there will be short prayers and then a minute's silence.
I'm just going to explain. It's not that I don't want to shovel. I fractured my elbow 3 weeks ago, and so I can't weight bear. But I think it's important for us as the Abbey Church to demonstrate our solidarity as a Christian community. And so one of our elders, David Williams, is going to assist me with putting the soil in the ground.
just quickly like to explain what's going to happen just now. This is one of my colleagues who's going to do the call to prayer. It's called the Azan. This is what we normally do. I think you've probably seen it on TV as well recently if you have been following events in Christchurch. It's the call to prayer that we have 5 times a day. And after this call to prayer, there'll be a short prayer and then we'll have a minute's silence, I believe, yeah?
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Next, we have the Buddhist chant for peace.
Nam yo renge kyo. Nam yo renge kyo. Nam yo renge kyo.
Bless this tree as the symbol of the hope we have for the community in which we live. Bless this day with the passion to change fear to understanding. Bless us all with the courage to stand up and speak out where injustice and intolerance threaten. Amen.
اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم عليه. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام وإليك يرجع السلام. حينا ربنا بالسلام وادخلنا دار السلام. تباركت ربنا وتعاليت يا ذا الجلال والإكرام برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Please join me for a minute's silence. And again, thank you everyone for coming along and showing that Dunfermline stands united and we will not let hatred divide us. As I said when we were standing at the bandstand, this is the end of the service, but please do feel free to stay if you would like to meet and greet one another. This is a good opportunity for strangers to become friends. Thank you again, everyone, for attending.